What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here with another tier video, and today we will be ranking the last 15 players to come through the academy and make their debuts. Well, not just make their debuts, but actually make an impact at Tottenham and play more than just a couple of games. And it has to be Premier League games as well. Obviously, I got my trusty sidekick with me, John.
Trusty sidekick, how are we doing? All right.
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, ready for this.
Shall we get straight into it?
Let's get into it.
All right, so the tiers that we've got, there's 5 tiers this time after a few in the comment section last time gave us a few tips. So we've got...
Thanks for that.
Top draw, quality, decent, mediocre and poor.
Poor. Yeah, that's
All
a
right.
good list.
So let's get straight into it. And
Yeah.
the first player we're going to start off with is Harry Kane.
Well, this is probably the easiest one to do, really.
Yeah,
isn't
it really is. I think he goes straight into the top
Straight
draw.
in. We don't have to really say much, do we, about
Yeah,
this one? It's the
exactly,
most
you know.
obvious one we can position.
One of our own, world class.
Yeah.
He goes straight into the top draw. Next up is Kyle Walker-Peters. Now, this is going to be an interesting one.
Oh, Kyle Walker-Peters. I don't know. I mean, he's shown glimpses of decent, but to be honest with you, I personally would put him in mediocre.
Mediocre.
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
Are you thinking better or worse?
I'm thinking worse, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, I just thought I thought you were going to say quality. So.
No, not quality.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
for me, Kyle Walker-Peters, he's just another Kyle Norton, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I think.
me and
Yeah,
you have had this
we've-
conversation before.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
But I think Kyle Walker-Peters, he showed glimpses maybe of being an okay player,
Yeah.
but on a consistent level, I actually think he's on Kyle Norton's level. I think he's a championship player at best of what I've seen.
I think he's a little bit better than championship level. I think there was a time where Poch was trying to bleed him into the team, so he obviously saw something in him.
Yeah.
I don't think he was poor, otherwise I don't think he would have even made it that far, to be honest with you. He did find out, Poch did later work out he's not quite cut out for the Prem, you know, top level anyway. So I think I don't know.
There was one game, he got 3 assists in a game last season.
You know, if the team has sat back against us, then he looks all right because he's got more time on the ball.
Yeah.
But I think when he's under the cosh, like in Barcelona, didn't he? Gave the ball away. And he gave the ball away a few times. But I would say mediocre.
I'll agree with you. Let's put him in mediocre. Let's not be too harsh on him.
Because we've got players that are worse than him coming up.
Exactly. So let's put him in mediocre. Next up is Ryan Mason. What are you feeling about Ryan Mason?
I want your opinion first on this one.
I think Ryan Mason was a good player. I don't think you can put him in top drawer quality.
No.
For me, I would put him. I think he flirts between mediocre and decent.
That's what
to be honest.
Yeah, it's in between.
But I think in that season where he really came into it, he scored that brilliant goal against Forest in the cup. He had that brilliant performance against Chelsea when him and Bentaleb were in the middle. I think we beat them 5-2 that game. I think he was a good player. Obviously, he didn't make it at Spurs properly, did he?
He didn't. No, I mean, I think he's in between mediocre and decent. It's one of those where we need another tier. Constantly have more and more tiers, like never ending. You know, he's in between mediocre and decent. I think that's the best way to describe that. Which one you want to put him in?
Let's put him in decent.
Let's put him in decent because I like him.
Yeah, exactly. He's Tottenham through and through. So let's put him in decent. Next up is Ollie Skipp. Has he had enough playing time
Okay, do you know what? Like, I think he's underrated. I don't think he gets enough crack of the whip. I think he's better than Winks, personally, because I think he's got a through ball in him. I think he's got a forward pass in him. I really like, when I've watched Skipp play, I think he's had one or two bad games, but apart from that, I've been really, really impressed with him. Didn't he play really well against Tranmere? Didn't he come on he play against Tranmere Rovers when we won? I mean, I know it was an easy game.
I'm not sure. He played really well against Norwich in the
FA Cup. It was a cup game anyway, and I was talking more about last season as well. I thought he looked brilliant. I thought he was really positive on the ball, really trying to play that incisive pass, and I really hope he doesn't kill that out of his game. I think he could be a really, really good player, personally. At the moment, I mean, it's hard to judge him, but from what I've seen, he's looked decent.
I mean, for me, I've never really been impressed with Skipp.
No,
I really haven't.
You haven't.
I've not been impressed with him. I think the first time I was impressed with him was this season against Norwich, and I think he was the best player on the park.
Yeah.
I thought he was absolutely sensational, and that game really opened my eyes to Ollie Skipp.
Yeah.
But then again, he played the next game against, I think it was away at Southampton a few days later, and he was shocking.
I think everyone was shocking, weren't they?
Yeah, that's true. But I think Ollie Skipp needs to do more for me. But again, he's very young. He hasn't had that many chances. So I think if I'm going to go by that Norwich game and see how he can improve from there, then I would put him in decent. But his game before that, I think, let me down a bit.
I noticed him before that, even last year and stuff, and I always thought, he looks really good, you know. And for someone that just came into the team to be really positive on the ball and trying to control the game, I thought was ahead of his years. You know, I really liked him for that, and I don't think he's had enough of a crack of the whip to really, you know, get some performances going and string them together. So he gets little bit part roles, you know, so it's difficult for him, and I don't know what's going to happen under Mourinho either.
Yeah, well, Mourinho seems to like him.
Yeah, I hope so.
And what really impressed me in that Norwich game was his tenacity in the midfield. You know,
exactly.
really, he's got a bit of bite to him. So, yeah, look, I think if we're going to go on his whole Spurs career as of yet, I think it flirts in between mediocre and decent. But in terms of potential, I think maybe we'd put him into the decent category.
So what do you want to put him in? Potential, or where he's at right now?
I mean, the last full game he played, I thought he was quality.
All right, I'm going to say decent.
I'll agree with you.
Because I think on this list, we have to also do it on potential as well.
Yeah.
Because we're judging them on what they're going to blossom into as a player and what we can see at this very moment in time. And I can see a lot of promise in Skip personally. I think he's going to be better than Winks. That's just my opinion. So for that reason...
You're a big Winks fan, though, are you?
I love you, Winks. I love you, Harry. I love you, Harry. No, it's just like I love players that get on the ball and pass forwards.
Yeah.
Like Ndombele.
Yeah.
He's like a world class flop, isn't he, Ndombele? You know what I mean? But I love his passing, and I just love Skip's positivity. So I'm going to put him decent.
All right, I'm going to agree with you. I think that just going on that Norwich game, because I was actually... It opened my eyes so much because I really wasn't impressed with him, and then he put in that performance. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to put him in decent.
Yes.
Next up is Josh Onuma.
Poor. Sorry. Yeah. I haven't seen any good performances from him. I know he did score that one goal, didn't he? But it's anonymous for me.
Yeah, I mean, he was coming through the ranks. He had a bit part to play, which he never really kind of did anything good in the Spurs shirt, to be honest. But I do feel for him a bit because nobody knew what his actual position was. Was he a 10 behind the midfield? Was he on the wing? Was he a bit deeper? Was he a centre mid? Like, nobody actually knew what position he was until he played at I think it was the Under-19s World Cup for England. He played centre mid and he was absolutely sensational. And after that World Cup, Moussa Dembele comes out and was like, this guy is going to be the future of Tottenham centre midfield. Obviously, it didn't work out, but... From what I saw in that World Cup, there were glimpses of Moussa Dembele in those performances, with using their body to shield the ball, to glide round players. But he went on loan after that World Cup. I think it was to Aston Villa, and he just didn't.
Well, it's just petered out, isn't it? So I mean, clearly there was.
So poor for sure.
I think that has to be poor. I mean, it's a shame because he's probably got the best chant out of any Spurs, didn't he?
Oh no, man. But you know,
shame.
he had the potential a few years ago. You know, I really saw glimpses of Moussa Dembele in him at that World Cup.
Really?
I really did.
Yeah.
You could see that Dembele had been mentoring him in training, and like he took glimpses of it. But yeah, I agree with you.
I think that has to go poor.
Yeah, I agree with you. Nabil Bentaleb.
Decent.
I mean, he wasn't at us for long in the first team. There was that one season, I think it was Poch's first season, where he broke into the first team, and well, not when he broke in. I think he broke in under Sherwood, didn't he? And then under Pochettino, he really started to play well in that first season, but then he fell out of favour. A few attitude problems, maybe.
Yeah, the attitude problems didn't help his starts in the team. You know, he got frozen out a little bit, didn't he?
In terms of ability, I thought he had the ability.
No, he had great sort of ball control and technique. I thought sometimes he was a little bit too scuttly. You know, like didn't really sort of drive forwards enough. A bit like another player I'm not going to mention again, but no, but he definitely had the techers, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he divided the fans quite a lot, if you remember.
I always liked him, to be honest.
A lot of fans loved him, and a lot of fans really couldn't stand him. I was sort of in between, to be honest with you. For me, decent. I mean, and he went on and did all right, didn't he, in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, he went on and did some good work at Schalke. I think they moved him up to a number 10 position even at some point.
Yeah.
Now he's at Newcastle. But who knows what's going to happen to him at Newcastle after all this money apparently is going into the club. But I think Nabil Bentaleb, what stands out for me, like I said about Ryan Mason, is that performance he put in that Chelsea game when we beat them 5-2. They eventually went on to be champions, I think, or they were champions at the time. But we completely wiped the floor with them. And in that centre mid was Bentaleb and Mason, and they just taught Chelsea a lesson that game.
I would say decent, but what do you reckon? You thinking mediocre, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm thinking in between mediocre and decent. I think, have we put anyone in mediocre so far?
Did we put Walker Peters in mediocre?
Yeah, I would say Bentaleb's better than Walker Peters.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Decent. Yeah,
yeah,
I would agree with you.
There we go.
Next up, Danny Rose. He didn't start at Spurs, started at Leeds, but came to Spurs at 17, joined the academy, graduated from the academy, and yeah, he's still at Spurs on loan at Newcastle at the moment.
I mean, at times top draw, isn't he? But I mean, I would say if you averaged it all out and then took into account, he was a little bit calamitous at times, better going forwards than he was defending. I think for that reason, not the complete player, but still brilliant. I would say quality.
Yeah, when you actually look at it, his whole Spurs career when you look at it as a whole, first part of his career was very poor, wasn't it? Obviously, he came into the team, scored on his debut against Arsenal, but he actually got hauled off that game at half-time because he was actually playing poor. I think he actually started on the right wing that game, but it took him a few years to actually find his feet properly until actually Pochettino came in and completely transformed his career. So I think Danny Rose actually only had about 2-3 years at the top, probably.
But those 3 seasons going forward, I mean, we underestimate how of an important outlet that was for us. The overlapping runs he did was insane. The amount of times we got in behind just from Danny Rose alone, it was almost like he was our weapon, wasn't he?
Well, when we had him and Walker on either side, it was just like the dynamic duo, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he overlapped way more than Walker did, I think. He actually got in behind a lot more with overlapping runs. I thought for that reason he was absolutely spectacular.
And I thought he was better defensively than Walker as well.
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one.
I thought he was.
They were both suspect defending, I thought, at times. A bit calamitous at times.
I would say at their best,
yeah,
Rose was a better defender. I think at their best, Walker still had those brain farts,
like
just randomly passing in the middle of the pitch or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think Rose was more assured defending.
I'm not sure about that, but I would say they were both limited when it came to their sort of IQ defending at times, definitely. For me, quality. I'm going to put quality for Rose. I know he had some ropey moments, but I also think he was probably the best left back at the time in the league, and I also think he's probably our best Premiership left back as well. So if we're putting him mediocre and he's our best left back in the Premiership era, it's not saying much, is it? So,
I would actually put him in top draw.
Oh, would you? Okay, I thought you were going to put him lower.
No, I
was trying to get you up.
No, I'm going to put him in top draw, and the reason I'm going to be putting him in top draw is because when he was at the top for those 3 years, I genuinely believe he was the best left back in the league, and potentially for one of those seasons, best left back in Europe. So I think he's got to be in top draw. Best Tottenham left back of our generation. Would you say that?
Well, I actually think that when Vertonghen first came to Spurs and he was at left back, I think he was better. At defending,
yeah.
And going forward, if you remember the Man United game when we won, and Bale scored
that marauding run, he did,
like that's how good Vertonghen was. And at left back, obviously, he was a much better defender than Rose. So for me, I would maybe even have a young Vertonghen at left back as my best, but potentially.
I tell you the truth though, I'm never fully confident when Jan Vertonghen's at left back.
Not anymore.
He just doesn't. No, I mean even then.
Oh, even then, really?
I don't think he has the athleticism to.
Yeah, maybe
he doesn't look right. Like when he's running down the wing, it doesn't look right. Like when Danny Rose is doing it,
doesn't look
he does it with purpose. Yeah, you know what I mean.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Rose probably is better than Vertonghen then. Maybe when you think about it, but. I wouldn't put him top draw personally. I'd put him quality. Look, I'm
going to put him in top draw. John's putting him in quality. Let us know in the comment section below what you think about Danny Rose. Is he top draw quality, or is he lower than that?
We'll straddle
him. Next up is Andros Townsend.
Oh gosh, giddy gosh. Andros Townsend.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. Decent. I think I'd put him in. I think when he started, when he first came through, people were saying this is our new Bale.
Yeah.
And he did score. He was getting some worldies, wasn't he? Some 35-yarders and stuff. And we
Well,
thought, wow,
I don't know if he scored any 35-yarders, but he definitely took a lot
He
of
took a lot of them.
shots.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that in terms of Andros Townsend, when Bale left and he broke into that team, we were all crying out for a superstar after
Yeah.
Bale left, like big time. And I remember we had that song for Bale, He Was Born to Play for Spurs, and then we started it for Townsend, and that was just the start of the downfall for him.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame, wasn't it?
But I think with Townsend as well, it ended on a sour note due to his attitude as well. I think Townsend, he had the pace. He didn't really have the application, though. I think he lacked end product big time. I think that he took a lot of mindless shots from like 35 yards with a player right in front of him, and it will either rebound off the player or go 35 yards above the goal. For the pace he had, he didn't do anywhere near as much as I wanted him to do, and for that I'm going to put him in mediocre.
Oh, really? You'd put him mediocre?
I really wasn't impressed with Townsend. I think he had a few good games when he first came in, but apart from that, I think he was pretty average.
I think decent, personally. I'm going to say decent. So, again, another one. What do you think in the comments section? So we're going to straddle him. I'm going to give him. Yeah, no, I think. I mean, I'm just thinking about his volley again, not for us, but last season
Against us? No, not against us.
No, it wasn't against us.
It was against
So-
Man City.
Yeah, so I mean, he does have a lot of talent, the boy, but there's probably a lot of I don't know.
But I mean, it says it all when you make your England debut at that age, or however old he was, because I don't think he was that young. I mean, that old. And where's he been since then? You know what I mean? Like, he's just vanished a bit.
Well, he has faded out a little bit, I guess. Yeah, but he did do well for England, didn't he?
At the minutes he got, yeah.
Yeah, he did do well with the minutes he got. I don't know. I think he's probably his own worst enemy, maybe Townsend. You know.
Yeah, and it all ended off at that. I can't remember which game it was, but he was doing a warm down, and the coaching staff told him to come in, and he told them to go fuck yourself, something like
Did
that.
he? Yeah, he might have a little bit of that
So
about him.
but he came out recently and was talking about that, and he was talking about how much he regretted all of that and how he loves Spurs and all that kind of stuff. So look, I'm still going to put him in mediocre.
I'll stay decent. What do you think?
All right.
What do you guys
All right.
reckon?
Next up is Steven Coulter.
Do you know what? When he first came through, I thought, wow, what a player.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
I
what
thought
a
that as
player.
well. Yeah,
And he was popping up with goals as well.
Yeah,
he was
he
good.
scored
He
one or
was
two.
great in the air.
yeah.
In fact, I thought he was really good in the
They
air.
touted him to be the next deadly king.
Yeah. Well, he did look, and then suddenly he just sort of faded away, and then we sold him,
Yeah,
almost like suspiciously sold him, like
and he
for
ended
no
up
reason.
in Liverpool as well.
Yeah, like I think there's something going on behind the scenes there where there was some kind of I don't know, that's a conspiracy theory, but I felt as though he was underrated for me, and I didn't think he was one of those players that I didn't understand why we sold and phased out so quickly. I thought he was earning his stripes, you know.
So where would you put him in?
Well, his performances, I mean, I'm probably going to have to say mediocre for him, but I mean, I thought it was decent from what I saw of him, but he just faded out. So for that reason, you've probably got to say mediocre. But
Not poor.
I don't think he was poor. No, I don't think he was poor. He's not on an Onuma level.
No, you're right.
Okay, so I'm going to say But then Colcott, didn't he also get? He ended up at Liverpool. Didn't
Yeah,
he?
but he didn't do
he
much at Liverpool.
Did he get a shout for England?
He
called
might
up?
have got called up once or
Yeah.
twice. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not sure. Let us know. Did
Well,
Coulter get called up for England?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Okay,
But-
mediocre. I'm going to say mediocre.
I'm
then.
going to agree with you.
I'm
I'm going to agree with you, mediocre. Next up, we're going to talk about Tom Carroll. And he goes straight into the top drawer for that assist
Yes, that
against
assist.
West Ham.
What an assist. No one ever talks about it. Come on. That was his only moment. No, he did have some. Do you know what? There's a certain psychology around this, right? When we sell players, there's this instant way of thinking that we think, oh, we must have been crap. You know what I mean? That's just a psychological thing. When a team offloads a player, there's this immediate thing where you go, yeah, dead word. But when you actually go back and watch some highlights of some of these players, you actually go, he's probably better than some of the players we've got now. Do you know what I mean? When you actually look at it objectively, and he did have moments, Tom Carroll. I know he had the physique of a borrower, but he, do you know what I mean? But he did actually. He came up with some goals. He did pop up, and he did have some techers about him, and he did have some good forward passes in him, good through balls in him, and stuff like that. He had a good range of creative passing. I thought.
He was just a bit too lightweight.
He was
wasn't
too lightweight. That was the problem. He was too. I mean, Harry did try and bleed him in quite a few times, but he just.
For me, he looked like a boy playing amongst men at most of the times he was playing. I think he left Spurs. He went on to Swansea. Was it Swansea?
Yeah.
I think it was Swansea. I don't think he did too much. I think he became a regular starter, but I don't think he pulled up too many trees there. I think I was never impressed with him again. I
don't think he was poor. I would say mediocre for him. You're going to say poor, aren't you?
I wouldn't want to put him in the poor because I don't think he's that poor. But I'm going to put him in poor.
You're going to put him in poor. No, I'm going to say mediocre. I know a lot of fans will go, "Oh, he's poor, he's terrible," but I don't know. I don't think he's completely a complete letdown. You know?
All right, so that's another head-to-head. Put in the comment section below where you're going to put Tom Carroll. Next up is your favourite Harry Winks.
Oh, well, it depends. If we're going to put all these together and try and tier them all. Do you know what? I will stick him quality. I'm going to put him in quality.
Quality.
Well.
Wow.
That is actually generous of me,
wow,
isn't it?
John.
I don't know really. I need to think about this one because I'm also taking into consideration amongst this lot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It might be different objectively what I think about him, and then compared to all this lot. So if it's compared to all this lot, I'm going to stick quality. If it's on its own, if he's just on his own objectively compared to, let's say, the starting 11 now, I would probably put him in decent. So for that reason, I'm going to say... No, I'm going to put decent. Actually,
decent.
I'm going to say decent. I'm going to say decent. Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to put him in quality.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to put him in quality because obviously he's come through the ranks like everyone else. I think that he's earned his starting spot. I think I wouldn't say the majority, but I think that maybe 1 in 3 games he has a good game, and I think that in games where he does have a good game, second half against Barcelona, Real Madrid, these against big teams. He hasn't shied away from the opportunities. I think that his passing range is very good, albeit it's mainly sidewards and backwards. I think if he added driving forward and passing forward to a game, I think he could actually be in the top draw.
Go on then, you've converted me. I'll stick with my original thought and instinct, and I'll say quality because also I think the potential if he could add some bits to his game. Yeah, I think he could be even better. So yeah.
All right, next up is Japhet Tanganga.
I'm going to say quality, actually.
This is a difficult one.
I'm going to say quality. I know he hasn't had much of a shout, but from what I've seen, he looked brilliant. I know he sort of had a couple of games where he kind of went off the ball a little bit from his earlier performances. But what a breath of fresh air when he came along and we were sort of struggling a little bit, and he came in and he looked like a seasoned pro, like a real, seasoned Spurs player. So. And also, I can see a lot of potential in him, and being a long-standing Spurs player. So, I'm going to say quality.
For me, it's in between decent and quality, somewhere in between. If I'm gonna be pushed to make one, I'd put him in decent rather than quality, because first of all, he's only played about 5 or 6 games for us. First game he played for us was against Liverpool. Absolutely sensational. Man of match, absolutely amazing performance. But apart from that, I think he's made quite a few mistakes.
What about the potential, though?
Potential, yeah. If you're going to factor potential on, then quality. But I don't think he's done enough in a Spurs shirt as of yet to put him there. I think that at the end of next season or at the end of this season, if it ever gets finished, I think that maybe you could push him up to quality. But as it stands right now, I'm going to leave him at decent.
I'm going to say quality.
All right.
Just because I like him. And I think when you look back on this video in a couple of years, like we might go, why is he only in quality? Maybe. So for that reason, I'm just going to preemptively stick him in quality.
If it was on that Liverpool performance alone, I'm putting him in world class. But I think that he has made a lot of mistakes. Should have scored against Chelsea as well. Anyway, up next, Jake Livermore. Where are we going to put him into?
Jake Livermore didn't do enough for me. When Harry Redknapp was bleeding him into the team, I thought that he was actually too negative on the ball. He couldn't progress the ball well enough, and I think actually got us in trouble a little bit because teams were starting to sort of, put the pressure on, and because he was young and sort of was a bit scared to give the ball away, he was almost playing too overly cautious passes, which actually got us in more trouble, in my opinion. And I actually think if we had a real proper player in there who could progress the ball, we might have actually done bits that season. So for me, he's mediocre. I don't think he's totally poor. I would say mediocre.
I mean, for me, because of what you're saying, I think poor because he comes into the side. Everyone's very excited for a youngster to come into the side, but I think he was just way too negative. Not enough quality as well. I think that his technique wasn't that great. I think when he left Spurs, he did become a better player, but I think at Spurs, I think he was poor.
He had an England call up though, didn't he? Not that that's saying much these days, but
yeah. Look, I think he's flirts in between poor and mediocre. He's not as poor as like some of the others we put in there.
That's why I'm putting him mediocre. But it's like a slight. You'd say high poor or
yeah.
low mediocre.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I would say low mediocre. You'd probably say high poor.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a straddler. I'm gonna say mediocre.
But this next one, Alex Pritchard.
Well, didn't do enough. Didn't have many games, did he? So it's gonna have to be poor. I think that one.
Yeah, straight into poor for me. Didn't do anywhere near enough. I think his name was being spoken about a lot from the academy. Everyone was very excited to see him play, and I think we were just disappointed every time he made an appearance. He went on to, I think, Norwich and Huddersfield and didn't really put up any trees there as well. So, for me, poor.
Yeah, he just didn't click with the way that we were playing at the time. So never really, was one that didn't work.
Yeah. And the last one, Ledley King.
Oh, baby, poor. This is an easy one, isn't it?
Well, one of the knees were poor anyway. But
yeah, that's true.
I think that, everyone knows our views on Ledley King, top drawer. I think, personally, he's, if not the best, definitely in the top 2 best English centre-backs in my lifetime.
Who's the other one?
Rio.
Okay, just checking. No, he was an absolute swan, and I mean, it's a shame that we never really saw a sustained period of time with Ledley to see what he could have done, and for England, because every time he played for England, he was always getting like man of the match performances, and
he never got a fair crack of the whip.
No, he didn't. But I mean, it was quite difficult to get into that team in centre back for England.
It's only because they love John Terry so much.
Yeah, and I think he was better than John Terry.
Yeah,
it's just John Terry looks like a better defender because he stayed injury free for longer, and was more, I guess, played an influential part for Chelsea and stuff like that. But when Ledley played for England, I thought he always took his Premiership performances to the international stage. I don't think John Terry did. So I think he's better than John Terry.
Ledley King was just so majestic in the way he played. His surname
like
fits him.
He was
perfectly. If only the guy had 2 knees. What a player this guy would have been. How good was he without training?
How can you get man of the match and not train all week? And you've got a knee like
week in, week out as well.
Just...
Week in, week out.
The guy's a freak of nature.
Do you remember that tackle he did on Robben?
Yeah.
In that 2-1?
Robben.
Robben.
I know, he's unreal, wasn't it?
And I remember one on Darren Huckabee as well for Norwich. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I think I do actually. Yeah, I remember when Huckabee was actually quite...
he was really fast, Darren Huckabee. But yeah, Ledley King goes straight into the top drawer.
Straight in there.
Probably the top of the top drawer.
What?
Or Harry Kane.
Harry Kane still, but that is why Rose for me doesn't go top drawer, because I don't think he's quite on that Kane and King level.
He's not, but like I said before, I think if you're the best in your field, even for 1, 2, 3 years, you've got to be top drawer.
Fair play. Good. Well, that's a good argument. What do you think, guys? What do you think?
Exactly. Let me know in the comment section below. That is our tier list of the 15 players to come through the academy and play for the Tottenham Hotspur first team. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of our list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.